Hello there! Welcome to Gino's Thing of the Day, where take a look at one of Gino's things and it's a day! Go figure! Hey, so glad you're here. I love it when you're hanging with me because we have so much fun here, don't we? I know I do. Hey, anyway, before we get started on that thing real quick, earlier today I was talking to one of my neighbors and he said to me, "Hey, Gino, what rhymes with orange?" I said, "No, it doesn't. But speaking of oranges, what's orange and sounds like a parrot?" A carrot, of course. But anyway, my other neighbor comes over complaining about the dog. So he said, I guess my dog is, and he does have this problem. He's continuously chasing people on bike, right? So it just was getting bad. I said, I'll take care of it. And yeah, I had to take his bike away from him. But yeah, hey, let's get to that thing of the day, shall we? In fact, today's thing of the day is actually three things. One of those instances which, occasionally we have one here on Gino's Thing of the Day, that the three are so closely intertwined. That's right. That, yeah, they count as one. So we're going to count them as one, okay? Now, what is better than Pez and Batman than a Pez Batman? In fact, it's a Pop Pez Batman, right? And then you've got his arch nemesis, rivals, villains, bad guys, Joker. Pop Pez Joker. Cool, huh? And last, and certainly by no means least, the Pop Pez Harley Quinn. Yeah! Sweet or what? Hey, anyway, and that reminds me, because I had this friend of mine that was into, Batman movies and the comics and all that kind of stuff. And he was a good friend, but I hadn't seen him in just, I don't know, years and years and years and years. It's been a long time. So anyway, and I ran into him, right? And so we ended up, sit down around the corner to, Coaches, and sat down and said, "Hey, let's, we'll have lunch and catch up." So we did, and we were sitting there and talking, and so he says, "Yeah," he says, "My life's been quite a journey, I'll tell you." He says, "It started years and years ago." He said, "I was, for my job, I was traveling abroad." And he says, I worked out of, I don't know, somewhere in the Orient. I don't know where. I can't remember what he said. But anyway, and he said, I drove in one day. He said, I had a breakdown. He said, it was kind of in the middle of nowhere. He said, the only thing that was around was this monastery. So he said, so I went up to the door, I said, "Is there anything you can do?" It turns out these monks were just phenomenal. They brought me in, they fed me, they arranged to have the car, taken care of, and they're like, "It's probably going to take till tomorrow, so we'll put you up here for the night." They gave me dinner and all that, just, hospitality, just, phenomenal. So he said, I went to bed that night. He said, and then, he said, something happened that would absolutely change my life forever. He said, I'm drifting off to sleep, and there was a noise. And a noise. And he said, after that noise, he said, I couldn't sleep even the rest of the night. He says, the next morning, one of the monks came and to take me down to, breakfast. And I asked him, I says, "Did you hear a noise last night? Is that a normal noise? What was it? What was that noise?" And this monk just looked at me and kept going down to breakfast, right? So during breakfast, I asked, the senior monk, the chipmunk, whatever, I don't know. And said, hey, I heard a noise last night. You had to have heard it. What was that noise? And he shakes his head like this. He goes, the noise. He says, well, I'm sorry, but I cannot tell you that because you're not a monk. So he told me, he says, I was obsessed. So like the rest of that day until they finally had my car fixed and I took off from there, I was like going up to like every one of these monks I could, saying, what was that noise? What was that noise? And they just said, we cannot tell you because you're not a monk. So I get my car, and I went back. And I could not get that sound out of my head. So, what I did was, I went back up there. And I'd stop by frequently, at tea or whatever, and I started developing a relationship with a couple of these guys. And, yes, I constantly always asked them, that night I spent here, what was that noise? Always say, can I tell you, you're not a monk, my friend, you're not a monk. So this went on, and finally, one day I'm sitting there, we're having tea with one of these guys, the monks, and I said, what's it take to become a monk? He looked at me, I said, Dad, can be a long journey, my friend. But he did. He explained it to me, and over the next, course of time, I'd go to visit, and I'd go into it. And of course, all the, cliches, from movies and stuff. I would have to learn how to walk across rice paper and not cut it, and sit around and catch flies with chopsticks and figure out the mysteries of the universe and everything. But you have to take vows, and it's years and years of dedicating yourself to your brothers, to the monastery, to your all this. And so he told me, he says, I thought about this and thought. He said, that noise though, I just could not remove it from my mind. So I said, you did? He says, yeah. He says, yeah, I was so consumed by this that, yes, I went and I joined the monks. I spent 12 years there. I'm like, wow. He said, it took almost 10 of those years before I was even officially made a monk. And, and I said, you did it. You became a monk. He's like, yeah. So I'm like, wow. I said, did you find out about the noise? He said, the noise. He says, yeah. He says, that's like the day of the ceremony when I became a monk. I asked the elder, respectfully, of course. I said, Master, what, can I know the source of the noise now? He's like, it's always the noise. Everyone, that's the very first thing. He says, come. And they all lead the way, and we go down there. He says, and we just went snaking all through this place, through the monastery, down in the very bowels of it. And anyway, eventually we came to this door. This is just massive steel door. And there on it was this big lock, massive lock. And I stopped there and your noise is behind this door. But the door is locked. And he said, but you're a monk. Now you have the key. So they gave me the key. I'm like, okay. So I fumbled around, I found the key, and I unlocked it. I turned the lock. I grabbed that big old massive steel door and pulled it back, and there was another door. It was a big massive iron door. Again with a lock, and I looked back at the others. They just stand there looking serious. So I turn back around, keep fumbling. I get a key for that, open it, and you guessed it, behind there was another door. Now this door, he said, was totally like encrusted with rubies. And he said, so I looked, there's another key that fit that lock. I opened it, opened the door, there's another door. That door is encrusted with diamonds. Right? He says, so another key, I opened that door. There was a platinum door, there was a sapphire door, there's all these doors. And he said, finally, there in front of me was one last door. A very modest looking wooden door with just a single little lock. And I had one last key. So I'm thinking this is it, and I look back at the others. So I took that key, put it in the lock, turned, and it opened. It opened. So I'm like, I'm on the edge of my seat now, right? And he said, I swung the door open, and there it was. But I can't tell you, because you're not a monk. Hey, for me, for Pop Pez Batman and his cohorts there, hey, thanks for hanging with me. It's been fun. I loved it. And you remember, feel free to comment, question, copy, criticize, and or critique. Yes. And just keep lovin's, people. Just keep lovin's. Hey, real quick, one last time before I go, I just wanted to tell you about the little spat Sheila and I had just the other day. And yeah, I don't remember exactly what it was over, but we started that. Sitting there, and she finally goes, she says, "Oh, gee, you are so immature. It drives me nuts." So I said to her, "So that does it." I said, "You get the hell out of my fort." So anyway, hey, thanks for hanging. Stay cool. Stay crazy. Stay lovins'.